So the reason I'm finishing up with some of these short clips here that are probably not going to be super popular is because I had a lot of stuff uh, piling up in my head, and I need a place to park it, like a storage room. And YouTube is fantastic. My personal YouTube page is not highly successful, although I think that I'm saying some stuff that's poignant. I think it's probably not that commercial because who the hell am I, right? I'm not a doctor. I don't have a PhD. And people love credentials. They like plaques and medallions and awards. I don't have any Pulitzer Prizes. I am a little bitter, to be honest with you, but I never really tried to have those things. So how could I expect those kind of results? The thing that I'm passionate about talking about is diet, because I grew up, my father was overweight, my sister was overweight, they were powerless over food, and that was a source of shame for me. It was also a source of anxiety for me, as it should be for a child when they're watching siblings or their parents suffer with some type of an addiction. Certainly the thing that you have on your mind is, how does that affect me? So you become codependent of their issues. I was different than my father, which was food was never a comfort for me. And I was an athlete when I was very young, and I could not live comfortably in a body that didn't perform. So there was really a difference between me and my father and my sister as well. And I guess because of my love for my father and my sister and the fact that I couldn't help them, I developed the personality trait, which is I'm trying to help everybody else. And I think deep in my subconscious, the reason I opened Juice Press was it was an attempt at helping my family get some mastery over food. And what Juice Press represented for me in the very beginning was my connection to having a source of my food without anybody telling me what it was going to look like. I did have the idea of it being a business. I did want something that was scalable, but really what I told myself when I had fears about opening Juice Press was, at the very worst, if the thing just broke even and wasn't losing money, it would be my own kitchen for the lifestyle that I wanted to lead. And the lifestyle that I wanted to lead when I started Juice Press was I wanted to be able to have one smoothie a day. I wanted to drink one or two green juices every day. I wanted to eat salad. When I felt like having something sweet, I wanted it to be something that was just a raw food dessert. And I like to mix that up. So in the wintertime, I wanted to have, vegan soups that were made with very clean ingredients, where every ingredient was very conscious ingredient. Instead of using, let's say, kosher salt, which is highly processed salt, which is not good for the chemistry, we're using Celtic salt or sea salt, a natural raw form of the salt. And that's what Juice Press was to me. It was my own kitchen to use. And luckily, a lot of people agreed with that philosophy, and they wanted to have that in their life too as well. And there's very few retail businesses that can do what Juice Press did for New York. I travel all over the place, and I very seldomly see a place that has a conscious menu where it begins with the idea that the produce should be organic, not grown with pesticides. The organic standard, the USDA organic standard, is a very real standard. It's not corrupt. There's very serious fines for anybody putting USDA on their labels that are not compliant. It's very, very expensive, and it's a very big deal. So the USDA organic logo really means something on consumer products today. It's not just the lack of pesticides, it's the type of processes that you do to go from farm to bottle or farm to package have to be organic processes. When they come and inspect our facilities, the people that are the bodies of organizations that do the inspections, they're so meticulous about looking at your invoices of where you're getting produce throughout the year. They look at the chemicals that you use to clean the floors to make sure that you're using USDA certified organic chemicals. So there's a much higher standard. It can be very costly for a small company to follow the standard. The good news is that a small company doesn't necessarily need to use a USDA logo to make that promise to consumers. If you have one restaurant and you just are committed to an organic process, you're able to tell your consumer that you're organic. You can't put it on a label, and there's restrictions about how you can actually say organic, but certainly in a small business, you can still be committed to organics, and your customers will either appreciate that and pay the difference for the product or not. The sad truth is that people are not easily willing to part with money for things that they don't clearly understand. And an example for that for me in the fitness industry is that, and this is not to say anything negative about the type of fitness that, say, SoulCycle is, but SoulCycle is a very expensive one-time experience. It's $35 or $37 for a drop-in class. It's a rather simplistic approach to physical training. You're sitting on a bicycle. There's a leader in the class who's trying to inspire you. To the consumer that has spoken. In a place like New York, that's a $35 experience. However, if I have a yoga studio and there's a yoga teacher who spent 30 years in India learning from great masters, and you speak to that person, they're a very grounded person, they have a very positive outlook on life, they can do all these incredible postures that are great for their fitness, their shape, really living true to the yoga principles. $35 is too much money to give that person. And it's an hour and a half. It's just not the standard way that people think. So something has to be disrupted. And it takes a lot of time because this disruption is not profitable right now. My partner Michael at Juice Press would say to me all the time that freshness is the enemy of profits. We understood that the kind of product that we were trying to put on a shelf on a daily basis and deliver that to 70, 75, 80 stores was really a very, very difficult undertaking. That's why larger companies, which are very flush with cash, they don't bother to do that because it's just not a profitable enterprise. So my recommendation for anybody that's new to the food business that wants to have a very high standard is just really understand and be able to sit down and map out what that means to have a high standard. Two things. One, the processes that you're doing to produce food and the ingredients that you're using. And the second thing is the people that make the food are as important as the ingredients. The people in those type of places have to be very happy human beings because their energy transfers to the food. And that's something that we don't see a lot of in corporate food. You do not see good energy, good intention behind the food, and that's the subject of another video which I'm going to put out very shortly. Please like my videos, follow me, do all the different things that you do when you like somebody on social media so I can continue to put more videos out. I'm learning how to talk. I talk too much. I don't get to the point fast enough, so I'm practicing. Maybe there should be some music in the background or we should put some edit behind this, but I'm trying to just be really raw and unplugged here. So follow my videos, watch my next video. I'm going to talk more about how to get the energy that people have, good energy, how to get that into the food. And we could talk about what's missing a little bit from corporate food. Thanks a lot.